Chris Russo is in Augusta, Georgia. Yes, he's at the Masters, hobnobbing with the nation's elite, and you are stuck here with us bottom shelfers. But that's all right. We're going to tee off without him, and we're going to have a great show despite the fact that he's screaming in Tiger Woods' backswing. We have a big show for you today. MJ Melendez of the red-hot Kansas City Royals is on the program today, coming off a series sweep and 7 straight victories. And guess what? They're not done yet. Jesse Rogers is on the show talking about some of the young stars and the early impact going on with them. Ariel Epstein, she's our prop queen. She's here talking about the best bets over the course of the weekend. And then, of course, we also have, Jensen Lewis, who's going to be talking about the Cleveland Guardians. How do they pivot now that their ace, Shane Bieber, is out for an extended period of time? We're going to begin our brushback today with the early stars making a massive impact so far in 2004. And guess what? We're not talking about Jackson Holliday. We're not talking about Gunnar Henderson. And we're not talking about Adley Rutschman of the Orioles. You know who we need to talk about that we're not talking about enough? Colton Cowser, who single-handedly put the Orioles on his back over the course of the weekend against the Boston Red Sox. My goodness, what a series this kid had. Jake Rill, who covers the Orioles for MLB.com, had a great point. Who knew the only thing that Colton Cowser needed was to tap into that power was a little friendly competition via the arrival of good friend Jackson Holliday. Cowser said, quote, "As soon as Jackson got called up, I was messing around and I was like, if Jackson hits a home run before me, I'm going to be pretty upset." Against the Boston Red Sox, it was Cowser that stole the show. He hit his first 2 home runs of his big league career in the Orioles' 9-4 10-inning win over Boston on Thursday. During that series, he hit .462, 2 bombs, 3 doubles, 10 RBI. Thursday night was the first 3-hit game of his career. Guys, he's only played 37 big league games. The number 5 overall pick in the 2021 draft is showing everybody why. Jesse Rogers is here now, and Jesse, the Orioles starting lineup averages just 26 years of age, my friend. They are the youngest lineup in the AL East, and Cowser is just one of the many guys that we get to look forward to moving forward.
Yeah, their player development system is really coming through, isn't it, Alana? Just been great bringing up these players at the right time. We'll see if it's the right time for Holiday, but he's looking better and better just in the 2 games that I watched. He went from 0-2 to 3-2 a couple times, got on base with a hard hit ball against the lefty, his first at bat against the lefty last night. And then you see what Cowser's doing. Talking to Orioles people, they're just really happy he's improved in all areas of his game, including defense. And it doesn't take a genius to realize when you're hitting like 450, your plate coverage must be great, and that's what I'm seeing. There's no hole right now. I mean, the pitchers can't find the zone where to get him out. Upstairs, downstairs, he's going oppo. It's just one of those streaks that you normally see maybe mid-season and maybe out of a veteran, but here's a young guy doing it. So it's really a credit to their player development group. Adley Rutschman coming up at the right time, Cowser coming up at the right time, and again, it feels like the right time for Holiday. It probably felt like the right time when the season started for Jackson Holiday, but they kept him down for a bit. But you're finally seeing the fruits of all those high draft picks. And again, the development of these players. There's no guarantee after the draft. So you got to give a lot of credit to the Orioles development staff. But they're just really happy how Cowser has improved in all areas of the game, especially at the plate where he's shown a lot of patience and doing damage on good pitches and sometimes some bad pitches.
Yeah, he looks great. Number 5 overall pick in the 2021 draft. Man, the Orioles have some really young stars. Of course, Jackson Holliday being one of those guys. The number 1 prospect, according to MLB Pipeline, finally making his major league debut a couple of days ago. And this weekend, Jesse, we get to see Jackson Holliday going up against Jackson Chourio, which is a really cool situation, too. 2 young kids, 2 stars for their respective clubs.
Yeah, they're still not quite there yet. Obviously, Holliday's just played a couple games, but Chourio, 3 walks, 13 Ks. You want to see that even out a little bit, but he's getting his hits. He looks comfortable. He looks like he belongs, if you can say that about a 20-year-old. And I think there's no doubt that Holiday looks the same. Like I said, each bat looks better and better, and it's just a matter of probably tonight where he gets his first major league hit. But this will be fun to see 2 very young players. We have to remember, I have a son that's older than these guys, Alana, and I'm not that old. So you have to remember, I mean, these guys will be, 4 or 5 year veterans and still be 24, 25 years old. So it'll be fun to watch them go head to head. Again, lots of room to grow. That plate discipline, no walks, 4 Ks for Jackson Holiday, 3-13 for Churio. So you want to see that again even out, because that's usually the indicator that you're dominating the strike zone when those walks and strikeouts look a little bit more even. Though this day and age, it's never going to be completely 1-to-1. But the talent is there. I think everyone saw it in spring training, and that's why you sign up guys like Churio to the big deal that he got. Not many young players sign those extensions before making it to the majors. We saw Corbin Carroll basically do it a couple years ago. Here's Churio. This is why you do it, because the talent is just it just jumps off the screen when you watch it.
Well, it just shows you how highly regarded Jackson Churio is with the Milwaukee Brewers, not an out in the big leagues, and gave him that extension. I know what you feel like, Jesse, as far as being old. I remember when Jackson Holiday was running around the Colorado Rockies clubhouse when I was covering his dad, Matt Holiday. He was 3 or 4 years old, and he already had that beautiful left-handed swing, and here he is at the big league level. All right, the takeaways from the strong Yankees start. We knew that they had the potential of being good because of the offense, but the pitching's been just as good as it needs to be, at least until they get Garrett Cole back.
Yeah, I'm very impressed. This might be the story of the first couple weeks here, to see what the Yankees have done. I've been on your show many times. I've been on radio, different forums, and anybody that's listened or heard me knows that I'm obsessed with left-handed slug, evening out your lineup, balancing the lineup. I'd rather have more good lefties than righties. They just don't grow on trees. There's not many out there. And finally, Brian Cashman got a lefty to go along with Anthony Rizzo. You just can't have one to be elite. You have to have more than one. And they got the best guy in the league, really, from the left side of the plate. Certainly the best guy available in the trade market or free agency in Juan Soto. And you already see what's happening, the balance in that lineup. Now, they rank 11th in OPS against right-handed pitching. Doesn't sound great. 11th mid-pack, right, Alana? Yet last year against right-handed pitching, the Yankees ranked 27th in OPS. Oof. So a big jump from 27 to 11. Granted, it's a couple weeks, but I only see them getting better. They found the balance. They're getting enough pitching without Garrett Cole. That's probably the surprise of baseball, the record that they have without Garrett Cole. But it's in part because of the balance in the lineup. Cashman tried so many left-handed bats, from Joey Gallo to Matt Carpenter, and he goes from, sort of the bottom to the top in Juan Soto, along with Anthony Rizzo. They finally have the balance to go along with Judge and Stanton. And I think this is going to be a lineup, if it stays healthy, that's going to be great all year long. Not that I'm saying anything outrageous, because we kind of expected this, but I've been waiting for this lineup to balance, and it finally has gotten to that point, I think.
Yeah, and they have Alex Verdugo as well. I'm not comparing him to Juan Soto, but another left-handed bat as an option. And keep in mind, Jesse, they have the best record in the majors, and Aaron Judge hasn't even heated up yet. I mean, Aaron Judge right now hitting 178, 367, 378, just 2 home runs and 6 ribbies in 13 games. Now, fans in the Bronx are asking him to be traded, but I mean, this is a guy that he's going to heat up. I mean, this Yankees team is only going to get better.
Oh, I think it's a great point, because, look, you're not going to get 9 guys going all at once. If you can be 10-3 and Judge isn't going, just imagine. And there'll be a point where Soto, and I'm glad you mentioned Verdugo, I should add him as well. There'll be a point where a couple of those other guys dip, but that's the beauty of a long, lengthy lineup. There's always going to be several guys going hot. Rarely do you have 8 or 9. So I think it's glass half full. If you're a Yankee fan, let Judge go through his struggles now, and let Soto and other guys carry you, and then it'll reverse itself. But as long as you're winning, that's all that matters. And I predicted the Yankees to go far in October, as long as Garrett Cole is healthy. So seeing this without Cole, seeing this without Judge getting hot, I think it's great news if you're a Yankee fan.
Yeah, big series this weekend with the Yankees and the Guardians. All right, let's talk about the state of the Cubs rotation. I hated to see Justin Steele go down on opening day. He has such a promising career. Kyle Hendricks is struggling a little bit, but Imanaga's looked pretty good. What's the state of their union as far as the rotation is concerned, Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, they're a little bit in survival mode. They're on an early West Coast trip now. That's never easy. And when you're missing a couple pitchers and one struggling in a big way in Kyle Hendricks, it's not going to look pretty all the time. They lost the series to the Padres. They need Steele back. It's not going to be for a couple more weeks at least. Tyon is making another start in the minors, so he's on his way back. They've got to figure out what's going on with Kyle Hendricks. I've almost never heard him with so much sort of self-doubt. He's given up 17 earned runs over the course of 3 starts. He's always been bad in April, so maybe this is just part of it, though this is particularly bad. So it's a little wonky. That's the word I like to use when it's a little up and down. But they can survive. The back end isn't so bad. Javier Assad and Jordan Wicks, not household names just yet, pitching well for them. So the back end is actually pitching as well as the front end, but that's okay. Like I said with the Yankees, like as long as somebody's pitching well, it doesn't matter what the name is on the back of that jersey. So it's kind of survival mode until Steele and Tyon get back. And I don't doubt that Kyle Hendricks is going to be better. He's going to be better than what he has shown. So I guess you could say better days are ahead for the rotation, and it's a team that's still above 500. They just need to get through this West Coast trip against Seattle, tough team, and Arizona World Series team. So, look, if they get through that, I think better days are ahead in May as Steele returns and Tyon comes back as well.
Yeah, certainly hope so, because without Imanaga right now, the rest of the rotation has a combined ERA of 5.06. But again, it's very early. And speaking of early, what are your first impressions of Craig Counsell? Now, the Cubs are 7-5. The Brewers are 8-3, but the Cubs were 7-5 at this point last year, too, with David Ross at the helm.
Yeah, look, you're not going to see that much different outwardly, right? A lot of the nuance when it comes to managing is behind the scenes. I think bullpen management is overrated. In fact, I was kind of critical of Craig from Monday night. That was a game that they blew an 8-0 lead. So, of course, you can second guess the manager on some moves. But every manager is going to make some good ones, some bad ones. So it's going to be under the surface where Craig's expertise is going to come out. That's going to happen over time. You know, I've known him for a long time, but I've never really covered him day to day. I'm in Chicago. He's now here. And, you know, he's very no nonsense. He's very direct with the media, very direct, I think, behind the scenes as well. He'll tell you, you know, the way it is, and he really won't waver from that. You know, it's very direct answers to questions you ask him. So that's always good for a reporter. But, you know, he's just very good at all the nuanced things of the game, and he can communicate with the front office in a way that most managers probably haven't done or can't do, as he used to be there. And he's just a very, you know, he came from the front office, very smart guy. But that's my impression of him so far. I think that the nuanced differences are going to come behind the scenes, not necessarily in the dugout from innings 1 to 9.
Jesse, you threw me a curveball. In 20 years of covering baseball, I have never heard somebody say that they thought bullpen management was overrated. Why do you think that is? And by the way, Bruce Bochy is on line 1. Yeah,
look, I'm just saying the difference between 1 and 30 isn't as big as everyone thinks, in my opinion. Obviously, there's ones that are better and ones that aren't. And I think Counsell probably is one of the better ones, and Bochy one of the better ones, but I don't think it's the reason you fire a manager or hire a manager for bullpen management. I think Jed Hoyer and Craig Counsell would even agree with that. I just think there's so many 50-50 decisions that could go this way or that way, and we're outcome biased a little bit, that we overplay that. We overplay that. You have to have the horses. And frankly, he had Josh Hader and Devin Williams. Now, maybe Josh Hader and Devin Williams were great in part because Craig brought it out of them and used them correctly. I don't doubt that. But Monday night, they had an 8-0 lead, Alana, and every person he turned to gave it up, you know, including his closer, who was asking for a 5-out save from. So, I don't know. I just feel like the differences are small. Not that there aren't there. I just think we overrate them a little bit.
I understand. I also think that Josh Hader was probably going to do better in Houston than he has so far. You're really missing Bautista in, you know, Baltimore with Craig Kimbrell there. So I get what you're saying, my friend. I get what you're saying. I had just never heard that before. All right. The White Sox, they are in a big fat mess. 2-10. Where do they go from here, Jesse?
There's no light at the end of the tunnel. There really isn't. You know, I thought their pitching staff would be their weakness, and it's been okay. Their bats are starting to get a little bit better. They scored some runs against the Guardians, but overall, it's just been brutal. 3 huge injuries again: Luis Robert, Yohan Moncada, Eloy Jimenez. These aren't coincidences. These guys haven't trained correctly for the sport that they're in. They look great at times, especially Moncada and Robert, but they're not trained correctly for this sport. Eloy's kind of in a different category. So without those at least experienced hitters, they're going to have all sorts of problems at the plate over time. And I don't think Chris Getz, the GM, is done making changes. So come July, like Michael Kopech, if he proves to be a good reliever, could be on the move. I think there's a bunch of position players, if they get healthy or are good, could be on the move. So my point is we have not seen the bottom. The 101 losses last year may not be the bottom, Alana. This year, though, it might be more by design. Last year, it wasn't. This year, it might be because Getz had such a tall task. I've never seen a team turn over its pitching staff. Currently, one pitcher remains from last year, 0 starters. That is hard to do from opening day last year, and that is Kopech. They signed Clevenger here. He'll be a second pitcher returning from last year's opening day. You can't be even respectable with that much turnover. They turned over both their catchers. So, again, we have not seen the bottom, but at least this is by design as they try to start this thing over with a new GM. I'm not sure how long the current manager is going to be there. Like, if you lose another 100 games, it's not necessarily all on him. But I think Chris Getz is just going to start everything over and see where it can go from there.
Yeah, complete rebuild on the South Side. This is just the third time in franchise history, Jesse, that this team has started so poorly through the first 12 games of this season. Before I get your answer to this last question, I want to pose it to those of us that are sitting on our couch watching High Heat right now. We asked you this earlier. Join the conversation. What are you most looking forward to around the majors this weekend? Tweet us for a chance to be featured on the show. So, Jesse, I'm going to ask you that same question. What are you looking forward to watching this weekend?
It's interesting. There aren't a ton of key matchups. Cleveland versus New York, 2 teams that were off to a great start. Obviously, Baltimore playing Milwaukee with the 2 rookies we talked about. But Yoshinobu Yamamoto's 4th start tonight. Now, I saw him in person at Wrigley Field, and that breaking stuff is really starting to come along. He looked great, even in the cold weather. So I'm kind of looking forward to him. I think he's finally, getting used to it a little bit. You can't expect everything all at once for players, that are coming over from Japan or Korea. He had that first bad start, but slowly but surely he's starting to look like the $325 million man. So just specific to tonight, I want to see him against the Padres offense that looked good against the Cubs earlier in this week. So Yamamoto is my guy sort of to watch just based on the fact that we don't have a ton of great matchups this weekend and the fact that he really is coming along and his last start was a really good one.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and throw out the soul start. I think everybody can say they were off their routine when it comes to that. Jesse Rogers, great insight as always, my friend. We appreciate you taking us around the league. Have a great weekend. You too, Alana. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, Alana, a lot's happened in a week or two since we last spoke. It's unfortunate, too, because of the start that Beebs was off to. I know we talked about it a week or so ago on High Heat. Now, I look at it this way, Alana, to be honest. If this happened in August after the trade deadline, boy, is that a catastrophic blow to a team that at that point you felt was probably going to be in the thick of things if he continued to pitch the way that he started. Now that it's happened in the first 2 weeks of the season, yes, it's a huge blow to the clubhouse. It's a huge blow to that on-field performance element. But you have an opportunity to really adjust moving forward. Gavin Williams is rehabbing and should be back shortly. Xavier Curry, Ben Lively are some depth options. But let's face it, I think we were talking in the break, they could be buyers now at the deadline forecasting this out because of the way they've started. It all depends on how they get through some of the big boys and they get their first real test of what that looks like with this series starting against the Yankees tonight. Let's expand on that a little bit, Jensen, because it's a curious topic that you bring up. I think going into the season, perhaps anybody outside of the Cleveland organization would have thought maybe the Guardians would have been sellers and Shane Bieber could have very well been a trade piece. Then they get off to this great start. He looks like he's the Shane Bieber of 2018. Then you're thinking, okay, it's the AL Central. And it can be anyone's division. Maybe we're going to be buyers. So now, because of this beautiful 9-3 start, do you think if it continues to go this way, they will continue to want to be buyers in this market? Yeah, Alana, I mean, credit where it's due, because you look at the track record for Chris Antonetti and Mike Chernoff the last 3, 4, even 5 years. Heck, you can go all the way back to 2016 and 2017, making the big-time trades for Andrew Miller there in 16 that ultimately got them a huge piece to get to the World Series. I think they are so great at assessing internally what they have once you get through kind of that mid-May, end of May marker there. And also, when you get to that trade deadline, they've been really creative, too, on finding guys that might have those higher total contracts, at least that might expire at the end of the season, and taking it at that prorated value. Also, remember the backdrop of this season that Shane Bieber was going to be a free agent after this year. So as far as it goes, if they weren't in contention, yeah, I think wholeheartedly from the outside looking in, Bieber was going to be one of those sought-after guys because organizations would not have had to give up the type of package had he had another year or two of team control. That being said, you said it. It's the gift that keeps on giving the last 5 to 10 years. It's the American League Central. It's up for grabs every single season.
You know what? I don't think if anybody would have put a gun to my head and asked me who was going to have the best run differential in the league and who's second in the league, I would have said the Royals at plus 39 and the Guardians at plus 35. What is making this offense click? Because I think outside of Jose Ramirez, we weren't sure what type of offense the Guardians were going to have.
If it starts at the top, Alana, and you have your league leader in hits with Stephen Kwan, he's off to a roaring start. Andres Jimenez, I think, has had one of the best all-around starts in the American League, both offensively and defensively. And then it was the guy in the middle. I had said at the outset, Alana, would the league still pitch to Jose Ramirez if the guy hitting behind him wasn't off to a quick start? And that obviously is Josh Naylor. He has been so fantastic here in the first couple weeks of the season. That in turn has created a domino effect where pitchers literally have to pick their poison. Do you want to go try and go after Jose Ramirez with runners in scoring position or add more traffic in front of Josh Naylor, who with runners in scoring position and from the 7th inning on is as daunting a hitter to face in those tight situations? The other part of this, Alana, is the bottom of the order has really been consistent. When you look at the likes of Bo Naylor, who we talked about earlier the last couple of weeks, I think Brian Rocchio has brought another all-around element to the bottom of the lineup. And then contributions from Tyler Freeman, Will Brennan. I mean, Ramon Laureano is getting hit by pitches left and right. He's the modern-day Roger Dorn at this point. I think it's been a real continuity of sorts where Stephen Vogt has really pressed the right buttons from a matchup standpoint and a lineup construction standpoint. And they've executed in those run-scoring situations far more than they have in starts of past seasons.
Yeah, Don Baylor and Chase Utley are very proud of what he's doing as far as taking one for the team when it comes to hit by pitches. Before I let you go, Jensen, let's talk quickly about Cookie Carrasco and what he needs to do tonight on the hill, making his first start in some time.
The two things that stand out to me are, number one, contain Juan Soto, and I think that he's going to have to force Soto, and the rest of this pitching staff is going to have to force Soto to beat them the other way for this weekend. Really, Cleveland has figured out Aaron Judge, and if you want a blueprint about the swing and miss capability, just look at the numbers that Aaron Judge has against Cleveland pitching in his career at Progressive Field. 25 punch-outs in 57 at-bats. That's good for a 44% strikeout rate. That's pretty good. I think they'll take that. So I think the other part of it is that bottom of the lineup. What do you do with Volpe? What do you do with Stanton? If there's runners in scoring position, do you try and pitch around them? But as far as Carlos Carrasco tonight, he's got to really establish the inside part of the plate, and it might be the perfect storm, literally, Alana, as it's been dumping here in Cleveland since last night. If it's really sour conditions, they may not play this game. They may force it to a doubleheader tomorrow. But if they do get underway, it's going to be bitter conditions. Establish that inside part of the plate. No hitter is going to be running the bat wreck tonight.
Yeah, it's pouring rain here in Massachusetts. It would be if he gets the start tonight, Jensen. His first start at Progressive Field since Game 2 of the 2020 AL Wildcard Series. Jensen Lewis does a great job covering the Guardians. We appreciate your time. Have a great weekend.
You got it, Alana. Talk soon.
Don't look now, but the Kansas City Royals want you to know that they mean business. NTT Ballpark Cam taking us out to Citi Field. That is where the Royals are supposed to play the New York Mets today. Michael Wacha on the hill for the Royals. Severino on the bump for the New York Mets as these two square off in a weekend series in Queens. MJ Melendez, an outfielder for the Kansas City Royals, is at the league office in New York City, kind enough to join us now. And MJ, great to have you with us. You came up as a catcher. There's a guy by the name of Salvador Perez that is behind the plate for the Royals. They wanted to make sure your bat's in the lineup. They put you in the outfield. How has this year been for you so far?
Oh, it's been a blast. I've loved every second of it. We got a lot of new faces in the clubhouse, and we've just been gelling. A lot of guys who've been around the league a long time, who have played for different teams, a lot of winning teams, and they're just bringing the culture over here, and now we're just playing some ball.
There's not a lot of guys, MJ, that can go from being a catcher to the outfield. I mean, you can see a guy maybe going from first to third or from short to second, but catching to the outfield is a whole different story. How was that transition for you?
It's been a lot of fun. Definitely not something that you hear about a ton. There's been some other guys that have done it in the past, but it was something that I wanted to be able to do to be in the lineup every single day. Obviously, Salvi has had an incredible career so far, and it's only continuing to go. And I just wanted to find myself in that lineup every day and do what I could to help the team win, and that's where I found myself. So just been making that adjustment the last 2 years, and this last offseason was able to take that full time to focus solely on the outfield and just try to perfect my craft out there.
You guys are coming off of a 7 straight win type of season. You had the series sweep, of course, against the Astros. I mean, this is a team that means business. What has worked so well for you guys to get you off to the strong start that you're having in 2024?
Just that team camaraderie, honestly. We've gelled together, I think, since day one. Like I said, coming into spring training, I knew it was going to be a lot of new faces. Didn't really have any expectations, but it's definitely been a lot of fun. We've had a lot of team dinners, team activities together, and everybody's getting along. Literally every single person in the clubhouse, from pitchers to position players. So it's been so much fun, and I think you can see like the energy and the confidence we're playing with, and guys just really believing in one another and just cheering each other on.
MJ, who's leading that charge? Not every clubhouse gets along. Not every clubhouse has a 26-man, chemistry where you guys actually genuinely like each other. How does that happen?
Yeah, I think it was a lot of the vets that brought that along. Obviously, you got a guy like Will Smith who's won 3 World Series in a row, and I know it's kind of like the funny thing to talk about, but obviously, he knows what it takes to win championships. He knows, all the little things that it entails throughout a long season. So he's definitely brought a lot of things that, we hadn't had in the past. And it's been a blessing to have him back in Kansas City and, him just kind of being the guy that he is and being the leader.
You know what? You have the 7th best OPS in the majors, and I know you guys don't like to talk about your stats, but I'm not going to with you because you're not even the best on your team. So, how about that, MJ Melendez? Bobby Witt Jr. is better than you. What's it been like to see him go about his business?
I love Bobby. He's the man. And just to see what he does off the field, he works extremely hard. I think, everybody knows that. But he's just a true leader as well. Obviously super young, even younger than me. And, just to see what he does on the field is incredible. You see different things every day, like yesterday, having Nick Lofton kind of flipped over his head and over his back, something that you don't ever see. And for him to just, stay composed and make that play, really nothing shocks me from him anymore.
Yeah, I thought that was some like WWE type of stuff that Bobby Witt Jr. was doing. Now tell me about your time when you guys went to the Phoenix Open. We're going to show the play here that you were just talking about, but I'm not certain how he was able to maintain his composure and end up making that play at first base. But it looks like Bobby Witt Jr. is not just a pretty face, pretty athletic guy. What have you seen?
Oh, man. Like I said, nothing surprises me for him to do that. And I don't know how he didn't fall over either. I definitely probably would have fallen over. So that was a pretty crazy play, and it was kind of funny, too.
All right, go back to the Phoenix Open. I know you guys went to the Waste Management Open there. You guys were there together. So you're not just teammates. It seems like you're friends off the field as well.
Oh, 100%. Like I said, I love Bob. He's super fun to be around. He's goofy. I know not everybody gets to see that side of him, but he's hilarious. Just a normal guy to all of the people who don't know him. Obviously, you see what he does on the field, but great person, and love the kid to death.
Yeah, normal guy that is super athletic, makes a gazillion dollars. Yeah, he's just like us, I'm sure. All right, let me tell you about you guys with the Kansas City Chiefs jerseys. I'm a Broncos fan, so this hurts my soul. But I get it that you're a Kansas City Royal, so you want to support the Chiefs. How much fun was that going to that game?
Oh, it's incredible. Honestly, just seeing what they've done, the last couple of years, it's not like it's just been 1 year. It's, just year after year, the consistency they have, just the winning that they're bringing to the city. We see that. And, that's something that we've been wanting to bring for the last couple of seasons. And, I feel like we're definitely on our way to that. And, You see around the city a lot of people wearing red for the Chiefs. So we're trying to make that city blue as well. So we're trying to, just bring everybody together. We want, we see what they're doing on the other side of the street, and we're trying to bring that to our side of the street as well and just bring winning around the city.
Yeah, it's so funny. You can go into Arrowhead or you can go into Coffin, either way with that tunnel. Is that important to you guys, MJ, to make sure that that folks know, listen, this is not just a Chiefs town. The Royals have been here a long time, and we want to bring that championship pedigree back to the baseball scene.
Oh, 100%. Like I said, you see all the Chiefs jerseys around town, and you see some Royals ones as well too, but you're always seeing Chiefs, and you're seeing them in different states too. I live in Miami in the off season. I've seen some Chiefs stuff down there. So whether it's bandwagon or not, listen, at the end of the day, they're wearing Chiefs stuff. So we want people wearing Royal stuff everywhere, obviously, especially in Kansas City, but throughout the country. We're trying to bring that exciting stuff to baseball, and we're just playing with that passion. Hopefully we can keep it going.
Yeah, you guys are off to a heck of a start. Best of luck this weekend against the New York Mets. We appreciate you taking the time, and continue the hot start, and good health to all of you guys. MJ, thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We welcome in our favorite prop queen, Ariel Epstein, joining us on the program. And Ariel, it is great to have you here. I think that there's something that you're interested in when it comes to the Tigers and the Twins. Tell us more.
Alana, maybe you'll bring me more luck than Mad Dog has on this show so far. Let's start with this first 5 under for this Twins and Tigers game. I love the first 5 under, 3.5 runs. Great pitching matchup. Tariq Skubal has had an ERA below a 2 in his last 5 starts, going 5-0. Lopez 1-1 with a 2.08 ERA in his 2 starts against Detroit last year. Both these offenses are struggling. They're bottom 10 in basically every statistical category, including runs scored in the first 5 innings. These two teams are bottom 3. The weather is not great, yet with these two struggling offenses, I don't trust the offenses in bad weather either. First 5 under, 3.5 runs.
No question about that. Yeah, no question about that. And Lopez and Skubal, as you know, Ariel, have very similar numbers right now, so the offense has their work cut out for them. All right, Kevin Gausman, you're thinking a lot of strikeouts today. Tell me more.
Loving the Toronto starter, Kevin Gausman, today. Over 7.5 Ks is in plus money. You're getting a really good buy low value on Gausman, who's been struggling. His velocity has been down. Gausman says he's not concerned. This happened to him all last year in April, where his velocity was erratic. Gausman is one of the most strikeout favorable pitchers in baseball, has been top 10 for the last 3 years in Ks, getting the most strikeout prone lineup in baseball on the road since the beginning of last year, the Colorado Rockies. Gausman last season, when facing high K rate teams, averaged just below 9 strikeouts a game, and that includes just his games in Toronto. This is the game for Gausman to make his big comeback, take his over 7.5 Ks.
Well, when you looked at the Twins and the Tigers, those offenses not getting things going, you're thinking the same thing, maybe, Ariel, when it comes to the San Diego Padres?
Big game tonight, Padres, Dodgers. It's a revenge spot for Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So I'm going to take the under on the Padres team total of 3.5 runs. Yamamoto has looked so much better since the last time we saw him play the Padres in Korea. That was when Yamamoto gave up 5 runs, and now he's increased both his 4-seamer and his curve rates. The curve has been awesome for Yamamoto. Batters 0-11 against it with 6 strikeouts. Has pitched back-to-back shutouts since coming back to the States after that Korea game. And the Padres, in their losses, 7 of their 8 losses this year, the Padres scored 3 or less runs. In games that they lose to the Dodgers, the Padres score about 2 runs a game. If the Padres lose, which this Dodgers minus 200 heavy favorites indicates, the Padres don't score a lot in their losses. Team total under 3.5 runs, Alana.
All right. Well, you also want to throw out that start from Yamamoto. Many people would like to do that because ever since that start, he's looked pretty darn good, Ariel. And finally, what is the trend to watch?
The trend to watch so far has been the Yankees against lefties. Now, people always like to bet the Yankees. They're a big market team. Go find them when they're facing a lefty starter. Take that lefty starter and bet the under on their strikeout prop. The Yankees have barely struck out. 65% of the lefty starters to face the Yankees dating back to last year have gone under their strikeout prop. This season, lefty starters are averaging just under 4 strikeouts a game against New York. Now, last year you can argue it was because their slugger Aaron Judge was out, not a lot of lefties in the lineup. So just buyer beware. For now, lefty unders against the New York Yankees.
All right, Carrasco on the hill tonight for the Guardians. And Ariel, a big day for you as well. You're always so busy, but it's going to be the 2024 season premiere of your show called Off Base here at MLB Network. Of course, it's hosted by Lauren Gardner. Xavier Scruggs is on the show with you, as well as our boy Yonder Alonso. What can we expect from Off Base this season?
So much fun. I mean, the title just speaks for itself. Off base, we take it completely off base. You never know what you're going to get. Tons of interviews, whether it's with celebrities or athletes. Plus, we always just say, sitting on those couches, we are just a bunch of friends talking baseball. So you'll get a lot of off-base things from us, but it's always just a ton of fun to start our programming in the late afternoon.
Yeah, it's a good, calm, cool, and collected conversation just amongst friends. It's nice to have that back on the air this year, 2024 season premiere of Off Base with Ariel Epstein. Thanks so much. We appreciate your time, my friend.
Thanks, Alana.
There is a speed bump on the front. There is a speed bump on the front. There is a speed bump on the front.